We are looking at the final days for the Ukrainian forces in Myrnohrad, which is a key Ukrainian city in the Donetsk Oblast. And once this city will fall, the Russian forces will advance on the western flank of Kramatorsk and Slovyansk. So holding this city was imperative for the Ukrainians. They did their best. They tried every way they could, but the Russians were too numerous and too powerful, and eventually the city of Pokrovsk was taken. It's here on the left of Myrnohrad, so here's Pokrovsk, and on the right is Myrnohrad. So the Ukrainian soldiers went from Pokrovsk to Myrnohrad, basically isolating themselves in this encirclement. So the Ukrainian forces made many attempts to try to unblock them. They were unsuccessful, and now these forces are sitting in basements. Maybe some are wounded. They haven't had food and water for many days, and they're probably starting to get really weak. So the idea of coming out of the basement and try to fight your way through the Russians to get kind of unblock yourself to get out of this encirclement doesn't seem to be realistic. So they're either waiting to be hit with a Russian bomb or to be captured and made prisoner of war. So anyway, you can see basically what's left of Myrnohrad. This is the divgen.ru map, and it's all in Russian, so the city names are kind of hard to read, but other than that, this is a pretty good map. And you can see the areas where the Ukrainians still are holding on, and it's really not that big at this point. We're talking maybe a mile by half a mile. So the Russians are moving patiently, building by building, giving the soldiers that might be hiding in the basement or in a shed or somewhere else the opportunity to surrender, to receive medical treatment if they're sick, to be able to receive some food and drink because they're probably dehydrated and suffering from that. So anyway, you can see this is what's left of Myrnohrad. This should fall in a few days, and with the Russians combing through, moving systematically, street by street, building by building. So we may see this fall in 3 or 4 days, maybe in a week. You can see this is still a large area, and there's a lot of urban structures, so they need to move patiently through each one, check the entrance, all the different floors, check the basement, check the buildings on the property, and all this takes time. So anyway, this is the divgen.ru map. Now here is the AMK mapping map, and this has a larger gray area, but it basically corresponds in the shape to this other map. In a very general sense, it corresponds to the other shape. So you can see here also that this space that Ukraine still controls or still inhabits is getting smaller, and so it's just a matter of time. And then, of course, we have these unknowns to the southwest or northwest. Now we have the military summary map, which also has quite a bit of gray area, and the shape of the Ukrainian forces in Myrnohrad does not correspond to this shape. So this is a bit different. Of course, each of the mapper has their own methodology. And then finally we have the deep state map, which is basically an outlet of the Ukrainian FSB. So they're going to tell a story with the map. It's not necessarily accurate, and it might take them several weeks to get their what's happening today reflected in this map. So you can see the pro-Ukrainian attitude is that Ukraine still has Myrnohrad, is still controlling it. The Russians are fighting, but for the moment the Ukrainians are holding out. Well, that's the narrative, so this map needs to reflect that. And so we're really looking at the final days for Myrnohrad, and then the name will change to the previous Soviet name, and probably something more difficult. It was nice having Myrnohrad, which was easy to pronounce. So anyway, you can see Myrnohrad is in complete encirclement, and there's really nothing that these Ukrainian soldiers can do to get out. I mean, one or two could possibly get out if they leave in the middle of the night and take an area that's not being watched over by thermal imaging drones. But anyway, you get the picture. So anyway, the front line is moving further and further away from Myrnohrad, and eventually Myrnohrad will fall. So it could be in a week, it could be in 2 weeks, depending on how much time it takes the Russian soldiers to clear the city. So anyway, this was my update about Myrnohrad, just days away from falling. And if you like this video, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Thank you for joining me today for this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.